Hi everyone, welcome to Value. So today we're going to look at a company called VG Acquisition Corp. Now this is a SPAC that is backed by Richard Branson, which kind of gives it a lot of credibility, but of course it's subjective. Whether you think Richard Branson is someone you find credible, I personally do find him quite credible, and I've been investing in one of his companies, VGAC, and I find most of his companies generally are of really good quality, so it's likely he chooses a company of really good quality as well. And the company he's chosen is a company called 23andme, currently just in talks, so it might be many weeks before we ever really know if this is going to be finalized or not. But it kind of gives you this chance to buy in early if you do like a company like 23andme and you think this SPAC deal has a high chance of success. At $13.55, the value isn't too bad. It kind of brings this merger valuation, like the number they're talking about is around $4 billion. Now this would bring it up to over $5 billion, and potentially it's got more room to run. I think on these rumors, the SPAC is likely to go a bit higher, which kind of gives you an opportunity to kind of play with the SPAC in a sense that, hey, with some anticipation behind a merger, the SPAC pricing might move up quite a bit, and it just gives you some arbitrage to play between the current pricing and the future pricing. Or basically you could look at 23andme and you can go, I like the company, I believe it has a strong future ahead of it, so you buy into it with the idea that it's going to merge and it's going to be a very valuable company in the future, as DNA testing is kind of proving at the moment that it's kind of a big deal. So if we look at a company like this, what's behind it? Well, they send you a vial like this one here. You give a sample of your saliva, they test it, and then they kind of give you a breakdown of your DNA, which can tell you stuff like your kind of like family history in a sense, in terms of DNA terms, of course. So as they put, discover DNA relatives from around the world. You can share that report with family and friends, and you can learn how your DNA influences your facial features, taste, smell, and other traits. And you can do that as little as $99, which is quite accessible to your average everyday consumer. So yeah, it kind of really fits in the whole Richard Branson criteria of being very consumer orientated. It's about bringing new things to consumers. As you will notice with Virgin Galactic, it's about bringing space travel to your average consumer, and with 23andme it's about bringing DNA testing to your average everyday consumer as well, which is kind of cool in a sense that we have such companies, because without them we probably wouldn't get this chance to do these things. So VG Acquisition Corp raised about $480 million in October. And yeah, they were basically searching for a target since October, and I finally found one, and it's 23andme, a pioneer in direct-to-consumer genetic testing, which given how many people they test, they've actually managed to build a really amazing genetic research database, apparently the largest in the world, with apparently about 16 million different samples. And they're using this for drug discovery, which can be quite useful for a lot of companies. They're partnered up with GSK in the UK, and yeah, they've also partnered up with other companies as well. But you can clearly see like the usefulness of data, right? It's kind of like when social media companies use your data to kind of partner up, or they sell your data, or who knows, to other companies, and they earn a lot of money from that. So potentially 23andme, they probably could also access this part where they have so much of your data they can potentially I guess end up selling it, or partnering up with companies that use the data and they give them a fee for that data, which kind of opens up a large revenue base for 23andme, because apparently like 2019 they did 475 million in revenue, but in 2020, apparently that revenue dropped off quite a bit because a lot of people may have not been as comfortable doing this type of testing in 2020. They actually end up having to fire like 100 people. So the business hasn't been as smooth as they thought it would be. And hence why we kind of have like a 4 billion valuation, because they're doing probably in the region of about 400 million in revenue. So it's about a 10x on their revenue. Which brings the question, is it worth more? Given what they can do, given the hidden potential of their data, and it's the only company that really is able to put together this kind of DNA kind of base because of its consumer friendly product. It gives it a lot of potential in the future. It's more about building the platform, and it gives them an unlimited amount of potential to expand into different revenue bases. So in a sense, it could be worth much more than this current like 5 billion if you buy into the SPAC at a 13.55 price tag. So definitely let me know what your thoughts are of this company. It definitely piques my interest. I look at a company like this, and it definitely looks like something that could be very, very interesting. And particularly with Richard Branson behind this company, like he's not directly operating a SPAC, but I imagine he's given a criteria of something that he likes to pursue, and it's likely they chose a company with some really good potential. There's not a lot of details behind this right now, not a lot of details about the company, so we really do have to wait for more details to emerge. But there's probably, in that time, there's probably a good chance that the pricing is going to move up with some anticipation about this SPAC merger. So in my opinion, I think it will move up from this 13.55 price tag to something much higher. Usually it's between $15 to $20, as I've seen with a lot of SPACs. We just have to see what it's going to turn out like. I think the risk isn't too high in a sense, but of course you have to judge for your situation. I'm just judging my situation, and that's my opinion anyway. So it's definitely an interesting one. I guess we do have to probably wait a few weeks before we find any confirmation of this deal, but it just talking about it now just gives you an opportunity to really think about it and potentially buy in early if 23andme is a company that you've personally, if you've used their product and you like their product, potentially it's a company you want to buy into. It's the whole Peter Lynch approach. Invest in what you know, and if it's a product you'd like, then it's a very good sign. They have done something like 16 million samples, so potentially there's a lot of people around the world that probably have used this company before. I personally haven't, so I don't have any, I guess, experiences to know if this is a good or bad product. But I think given how well known their name is, and the fact that you've got a company like VG Acquisition Corp choosing this one, I think they're of a good quality. They've got a product which is very unique. Probably not something that you can see a huge potential behind in terms of just an average test, because this test, if you use it once, you don't have to really use it again. So you've only got a consumer that uses your product once in their lifetime, in a sense, and then they're gone. So I definitely would like to see more behind this company, as we can kind of click into the services. Like maybe they might offer more services in the future, but currently there's really not that much that really keeps that consumer coming back. So the most interested consumers will probably have come and gone. We really have to see where this company can expand their revenue base, which will be the part that I'm more critical of. Because it's a cool company, it's bringing DNA testing to the average consumer, but the big question is, what do they have next to really keep earning more revenue? Or this potentially just becomes a company that just sits idly by, and its valuation generally won't increase unless they're able to really commercialize what they have. Of course, the whole idea that of them using their genetic database, which is the largest in the world, which gives them a lot of leverage to go and talk to a lot of companies, and potentially it leads down a route where they can generate a lot of revenue, because these days everything's about data. If you have data, you have, you know, an unlimited potential to generate revenue. So potentially that gives this company a big leg up for the future. But currently there's still a bit of hesitation for me, so I would need to see a lot more details from the merger once the talks are complete and we see what details come out, what the potential of the company is, what the estimates of revenues for the future years are, and I think that's going to give you a really good idea of whether this merger is good or not. Until then, yeah, good luck investing everyone, and wish you well. Until then, see you.